We currently have a crazy deal going on over at poodlecfb.com. If you use code BACKTOSCHOOL, all lowercase with the number 2 in the middle, you get 50% off the annual plan. And if you use code BACKTOSCHOOL2025, again, all lowercase with the number 2, you get 40% off the monthly plan. That is the best deal we've ever ran over there. Make sure to take advantage. This is a locked-in grandfather deal, so if you lock yourself into this deal, you have it for the lifetime of your membership. So come check it out, sign up, don't miss out on the best deal we've ever ran. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB 26 video, and today's video, I'm gonna be going over the 5 things that every elite recruiter does in Dynasty mode. Now, guys, I am a little under the weather this week, so excuse me if my voice is a little messed up or I sound a little congested. I'm gonna power through all this. However, with that being said, guys, don't forget, this is the final week of our Black Friday sale over on poodlecfb.com. If you use code Black Friday, all lowercase, one word, just Black Friday all together, you will get a huge discount off the annual plan only. If you've been eyeing the website membership, if you've been eyeing the Discord channel, you've been eyeing all our tools, you've been wanting to dominate Dynasty, now's the time. Not only do you get that insane deal, which is way better than even half off, you do get it for the lifetime of your membership. So if you lock it in now and you want to play for years, it is literally going to be like buying one membership, but for 3 years. It's insane, guys. Go check it out. But if you just want the monthly, of course, code half off is still running. That will run just about till Black Friday as well. Then all the discounts expire. So make sure to take advantage, guys. This is the last week or so to take advantage of it all. You get access to our ultimate guide, our Discord channel, our data lab, all of our studies, 24/7 support, all of our calculators, our tools, our Excel sheet. Guys, it really is the greatest place to be if you're a Dynasty head. If you're a diehard who all you want to do is win games, dominate, and build your powerhouse team, that is the place to be. Anyone who's in there could tell you that. Go check it out. Use code Black Friday or code half off. Remember, it is expiring in about a week, so let's get into it. So the first thing that every elite recruiter does is knowing exactly from the first advance their odds of winning a recruit. That is such an important skill to have in this game. You'll know, so the first week, right, when you're in that preseason phase, no schedules are made and all that, and you're just assigning hours and or scholarships, I should say, that week, go crazy. Go after every player you think you want and more, right? Assign all your scholarships. That first advance, when it's time to actually put hours on, at that exact moment, you should have a rough idea of where you stand. And take it a step further, you could even workshop it one more week to see how much your hours impact, because that also gives you a gauge on their coaching packages, your influence, and all that stuff, right? So right from the first advance, and I'm gonna look at some of the recruits later in the season. This was my first week putting stuff on him, or one of the first weeks putting stuff on him. One of these recruits, you'll see. Let me see if I can go down lower, actually. Who do we got? Do we have anyone else in the top 5? But let's just use like this guy, for example. Right from this first advance, you can see, okay, my 50 was a huge bonus. I clearly have better coaching packages. I clearly have more influence. No one else. The only other one going after it's Houston, and they're getting a little bit. I know right from the advance, I have a 95 to 99% chance of winning this. Outside of something crazy, like they get the hard sell earlier and have some elite visit, but really it's like a 99% chance. Now, we look at this one. Right at this one right here, I know that I still have like an 80% chance, and you might be thinking that's crazy. A, I joined this race late. B, my influence is about double, if not triple, their influence gains in the week. C, I'm a better program than those two, and I know I have a visit up my sleeve in week 13, right? Or I could have one if I want one. So knowing that, and it's so important, because if you do this right, and I'll tell you guys exactly why. So I did a little case study here with this exact league, and especially in seasons like 1, 2, and 3, when your coach build isn't fully set up, it is so important, because what ends up happening is this: if you go after all the 5 stars that you see in seasons 1 or 2, just there generally, and you see like, okay, Georgia, Texas ahead of me, and they're outgaining me, but maybe I'll win it. You end up fighting through half of the season for these guys, and if you don't win at least 3, 4, 5 of them, you could end up with a class of 0 to 1 5-star. Like, I've seen it happen so many times where you go from going after 8, you think you could win, and you walk away empty-handed with 0. So that's why it's important for me to always get a gauge. Like when I'm going after 5 stars, all the guys that I have like a 95% chance of winning stay. All the guys that have an 80% chance of winning, I weigh them against, okay, it's an 80% chance. I like that. Once it's like at that 50% chance, like this could go either way, I start to kind of just flip-flop towards more elite 4 stars that they're not being as recruited. And that's so important, because that turns your class from a 0 5-star, 0 4-star, because this is what happens. Let's say you get none of those 5 stars. Now you got to turn back around to the prospect list, and this is what you're going to end up seeing. You're going to see something like this. You're like, okay, I'll get the remaining 4 stars. And it's like locked, recruited already, locked, recruited, especially with those longer 5-star fights that you see a lot in CFB 26 with less hours. So you go back, now you end up with 0 5-stars, and you end up with like 7 4-stars, 8 4-stars, and that you didn't even want. You end up with a completely cooked class. That is why it is so important to understand right from day one, what's your percentage of winning them and kind of assessing that. The next thing's going to be stacking these specific abilities. You want to be stacking in CFB 26. I've been saying that. But there's a few abilities that just help you so much in CFB 26, especially if you have the right coach build. So the first ability is going to be, for me, tier 4 boost the pipeline bonus for a position. That's the tier 4 one. That's the last one. If you're doing the talent developer build, it doesn't kill you to just grab tier 4, especially if you have the pre-order bonus with some extra to spend. This gives you a boost to your pipeline bonus. Pipeline plays such a huge role, especially in a league, or I should say a game that's built around 50 hours and making it much harder for elite recruiter. The next thing you want to be pairing it with is going to be tier 2 starting interest increase. That is so huge this year. It's even bigger than the one from last year with program builder. Last year, this ability is pretty broken. Starting interest helps for 2 really good reasons. The first one is it allows you to rug pull earlier, because with increased starting interest, people end up backing out, especially if you have a good recruiting system going on. Rather than playing catch up for 3 weeks and then trying to win it at the end, you can just start ahead and scare people off sooner, especially with a great visit. And then, of course, you have elite recruiter. If you can, always recruiting increased weekly hours is such a huge one. Obviously not the easiest thing to get, but that's what you're trying to tie in. If you want to be an elite recruiter, you want tier 4 here, you want tier 2 here. And then this one's pretty huge too. And again, there's a build where you can get almost all of this together. It could be a little tight, it could be a little tough, but it can be done, at least if you pick your spots. And that's going to be tier 1 and tier 2. Visits have a bigger impact and complimentary visit bonus, especially tier 2. Being able to be the best at visits will beat elite recruiters. If you have an elite visit, a well-timed visit, you can beat an elite recruiter. Now pair that with the fact that you are an elite recruiter and you have the visits, you'll be almost unstoppable to beat. Of course, those things right there, if you compare those 3, you'll have a great you'll have a great recruiting program, and you have a great progression program. And that's kind of where you could forego CEO and program builder. Obviously, there's some stuff in here that does help you. You guys know that. We have some that do help with pipelines, but those 3 right there, if you could just pair those the right way, you're golden. The next one, and this one is so important, guys, and it kind of combines with the first 2 a little bit here, especially the first one, is cutting your losses when early, especially early. There's going to be recruiting battles where you know to cut your losses. Let's use this one right here. Kansas State University, because of that week 4 visit, has what you think to be life, right? But if you think about it, they're clearly not going to win the interest battle. They're going to need that visit. It's week 11. By week 12, which is next week, Texas likely takes the lead, which sucks for me, but I'm going to hold out because I'm still in first, right? But if Texas wins, they like to take the lead. If not, LSU's taking it. Kansas State has no chance of that week 14 visit coming to fruition. We're going to be at the commit phase probably next week, and then the week after they commit. So that week 14 visit doesn't help. Kansas State and Illinois should pull their visits, or should pull their offers, but they're not going to. They're going to see it through. They're going to waste their points. Assessing early. Why? Week 11 is like one of the last weeks you could probably try to steal some 4-stars like I'm doing down below on my board. By them keeping this on, they're wasting about 50 hours, give or take, that they could be placing elsewhere. They're wasting their visit points by putting visits on them. Get out of here and get to your next player. And this is even more crucial early in the season. You'll get to week 2 on a 5-star, and I did this a lot this season. I got to week 2 on a 5-star, and I saw right away Georgia took a huge bonus, Texas took a huge bonus. They had visits ahead of me. It was over. I just back out. I need my points so I can get more 4-stars and kind of line up some more guys. Guys, it is so important to cut your losses early. Next one is super huge, and it's so much fun, also really creepy sometimes, is assessing visits. So when you start your season, assess who are going to be your rivals for the season from a recruiting battle. And you know, they're typically the same. Like if you're LSU, you know you're always competing with Georgia, you're always competing with Texas, you're competing with Bama on a few guys, especially defensive guys for Georgia. So what you want to do is assess your rivals. So early, I'm like, okay, these are my 8 5-stars I'm going after. I see Georgia and Bama all over them. So what I do is this. I go to schedules, I filter by all the guys I think could give me a tough schedule. And I guess I went to the wrong one here. I got to go to team schedules. Team schedules. So what I did this season was I knew that that Georgia was going to be one of my biggest competitors. So as you guys saw, I had a home game week 3 and week 4. So I went to Georgia, which I clearly passed while speaking. I went to Georgia, and their home game that they could do was 2 or 4. Now 2 is not going to work because a lot of guys aren't open by then, especially 50 hours. So I knew they had 4 and 5. So instead of booking my visit on week 3, I booked all my visits on week 4. Why? Because Georgia can't do a week 3 visit. They can only do a week 4 or 5. So by putting my visits all in week 4, I basically made it so Georgia couldn't put any of their visits till week 5, which, especially with more hours, like especially last year, week 5 was a death sentence. If you couldn't put your visit on week 3 or week 4, you were likely cooked. So by doing this, I was able to essentially lock Georgia out of a lot of the recruits we were fighting for, at least some of the big ones, from getting a good visit on me. Whether or not they beat me based on interest was a whole nother thing, but I locked them out of visits. And there was another team, I don't know if it was it Ohio State, maybe it was Bama. They only had a week 4 opportunity. By doing that, you essentially knock them out from any early season visits, which is awesome. Piggybacking right off of that is always being first online for a big visit week advance. Guys, take notes, mark them down. You guys know what I'm talking about. So for me, I knew that my most important week for visits this year was going to be 3 and 4. 4 being the most special for being especially for Georgia. So when you know they're about to go into top 5. So let's say week 2, I see the bars and all my 5 stars. They're right before top 5. I know in advance we're going to go right to top 5 on those 5-star quarterbacks and the 5-star running back. What I did was I checked with my league, the commissioners. Hey, when are we advancing? Looking like a 7 o'clock advance. Okay. And then I had my remote play on my phone. I have my Xbox. I have everything ready to go. And right at 7, I log on. I have it ready to go. And when I saw the advance, I instantly went in and I have a note of all the players. Okay. Deng, Matthews, Charlie, whatever, those guys. Those are my big recruits that need their visits to beat Georgia out on. I had it ready to go. I saw the advance. I ran to all 3. I applied my visits. I had my hours ready to go. I often will pre-cut hours or have a list of like, okay, these 2 guys after this advance I can likely cut, and I'll cut them off my board or cut some visits or rug pull them. You want to have all that pre-assessed. I've done this earlier in my CFB 25 days when I was first starting and still learning. I remember clear as day, there was like this 5-star quarterback that I really wanted, and we advanced, and I'm online. I'm like, okay, I could put a visit week 3, or I could put a visit on my other guy. And I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it on the quarterback. I went down my roster or my prospect list board, and I'm like, ooh, who do I want to cut? Who do I want to cut? I was debating, and I had some clear cut candidates, but I didn't think it through. I took 5 minutes. I went back to that quarterback. Penn State, it was already on it now for week 3. I blew my chance. Guess who ended up beating me because of the visit? Penn State. So I've learned my lesson. Have all your cut candidates either already done with the points ready to go, or have them like once you log on, you can just cut bait. Also, know exactly the time to be on and know exactly who you got to fight on. Some other guys you may have to put visits on, but you know that you're not competing with any big users or anyone who, or you're competing with Ohio State, but their weeks are only 5 and 6, yours are 3 and 4. You guys don't intersect each other, so there's no reason to rush a visit on them. You could wait on that one. Make sure you get it on the guys that you're fighting for spots on. But guys, that's about it for the video. Hope this helped you guys. The 5 things that all elite recruiters do to dominate Dynasty mode. And again, sorry for my voice. I'm a little under the weather, so hopefully this isn't too irritating to your ears. I'm trying to tough it out right now. But guys, about it. Don't forget, if you want access to all of our data, all of the 100+ things elite recruiters do, the way elite recruiters think, the way Dynasty dominators think. That was a weird way to say dominate. Make sure to check out PoodleCFB.com. Code Black Friday, no caps, all one word, gets you access to the best team we've ever ran for the annual plan. It's even better than half off. And the best part is, not only is it like less than 1/3 the total price, you lock it in for life. So 1 year today, basically, at the price today, you could almost get 3 to 4 years worth at the price it is at full price. So go check it out, guys. Don't forget to use the code if you want the monthly plan. Code half off, no caps, one word. Still hooks you up on that as well. This will be ending around Black Friday, so make sure to take advantage, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.